Greetings, greetings, greetings. I'm back again with part 3. All right, so let's continue. We left off at nuclear envelope. Nuclear envelope is also known as the nuclear membrane. It's made up of two lipid bilateral membranes that the eukaryotic cells surround the nucleus, which encloses genetic material. We know genetic material is known as what we call genomes, and genomes is what we call your RNA or DNA. Let's just clarify that. So we can all be on the same page. In the field of molecular biology and genetics and genome, it is all the genetic information of an organism. It consists of nucleotide sequences of DNA or RNA and RNA viruses. The nuclear genome includes protein, codes, genes, and non-coding genes, other functional regions of the genome, such as regulatory sequences, see non-coding DNA, and often as substantial fractions of junk DNA with no evident functions. Let's go into what we call nuclear DNA. All right, nuclear DNA, because we know what nuclear fusion is. Nuclear fusion, as it said, is let's read from the record. Nuclear fusion is a reaction with the nucleus of atoms split into two or more smaller nuclei. The fusion process often produces gamma photons and releases a very large amount of energy, even by the energetic standard of radio decay. So we know radio decay is a result of being subject to light. All right. Radio decay means be subject to light. It says here, Physicists Lise Meitner and her nephew Otto Robert Frisch explains and theoretically in January 1939, Fritz named the process fusion by analogy with the biological fusions of living cells. Once again, nuclear fusion is anonymous or is anonymous with biological fusions of living cells. All right, I didn't say that. That's what Physicists Lise Meitner said. All right, and we know nuclear fusion is the reaction in which the nucleus of an atom splits into a more smaller nucleus. All right, and that's what we call karyotypes when cells divide. All right, when cells divide. So just look up nuclear envelope. Nuclear envelope, which we just seen, represents the cells that surround the nucleus, which encloses the genetic material, which we know is called genome, your RNA and DNA. Okay. So let's go into nuclear DNA. Nuclear DNA, or nuclear deoxyribonucleic acid, is the DNA contained within each cell nucleus of a eukaryotic organism. Once again, nuclear DNA, or nuclear deoxyribonucleic acid, is the DNA contained within a cell's nucleus of a eukaryotic organism. It encodes for the majority of the genome and eukaryotes, with mitochondrial DNA and plastid DNA codes for the rest. It adheres to Mendelian inheritance with information coming from two parents, one male and one female, rather than matrilineal through the mother, as in mitochondrial DNA. Did you hear that? Cell division. Like mitosis, meiosis is a form of eukaryotic cell division. Meiosis gives rise to to 4 unique daughter cells, each of which has half the number of chromosomes as the parent cell, because meiosis creates cells that are destined to become gametized, parts of them pronounced wrong, or reproductive cells. These reproduction in chromosome number is critical. Without it, the union of two gametes during fertilization will result in offspring with 2 of the normal numbers of chromosomes. So that's when you're talking about genomes, you're talking about germ cells. All right. You talk about germ cells, and let's visit germ cells again. Germ cells are germline. These are not talking about prokaryotes, but eukaryotes. In biology, genetics, the germline is the population of multicellular organisms, cells that pass on the genetic material to the progeny, offspring. In other words, they are the cells that form the egg sperm and the fertilized egg. They are usually differentiated to perform this function and segregated in specific places away from other bodily cells. Okay? Once again, the germline is biology, the genetics that deal with the population of multicellular organisms, i.e. means cells dividing, which passes on their genetics material to progeny offspring, hence germ cell. Germ cell, germ line. A germ cell is any cell that gives rise to gametes or organisms that reproduce sexually. In many animals, the germ cell originates in a primitive streak and migrate via the gut of the embryo, gut of an embryo. 1 second, let me answer this. I'm doing the video, boo boo. All right. All right. A germ cell is a cell that gives rise to gametes of organisms that reproduce sexually. In many animals, the germ cells originate in primitive streak and migrate via the guts or the embryo to develop gonads. They undergo meiosis or mitosis or morphology, or what we call mutation, followed by cellular differentiation into mature gametes, either egg or sperm. Unlike animals, plants do not have germ cells designated in early development. Instead, germ cells can arise from somatic cells in an adult, such as floral, mesostem, or flowering plants. Okay, so we see that nuclear DNA comes through nuclear fusion, such as the case in binary fusion, are how we receive information. All right, for the cells that exist on this plane that they may manifest it, such as what we call genomes. All right, which occurs in what we call eukaryotes, which in the cell has what we call a nucleus. And nucleus contains all genetic material, as they said, in a nuclear envelope. And the nuclear envelope is that what occurs from what we call prokaryote, which has no nucleus. All right, it has no nucleus. Back to immortality. Immortality is a concept, as we just read continuously, of an indefinite eternal existence even after death. Some species possess biological immortality, so it's capable of being obtained. All right, but the only way it can be attained is through what we call mind uploading, through mental imaging, which we call meditation. All right, meditation, you can achieve this. This is why they were taught how to meditate in different schools of thought. You know what I'm saying? none in regard to the biological immortality, but just to be able to advance themselves here on this plane of what we call physicality, or a plane made of what we call finite things. All right, not infinite, because this plane is not infinite. So as I said, mental uploading or mental transferring of information in regards to achievement of immortality on a biological level, means to be meditating on the principles of your biological structure, dealing with your cellular structure. All right, dealing on both sides of the equation. All right, because we know that we have our ancestry dealing with our cellular structure based off our cellular DNA, which we call genome, that we inherited from our mother and our father. But there's also a cellular lineage that goes back to our mother and father from on the spear that originated from what we call our nuclear DNA. All right, that allowed the information to exist in the DNA that we have now. You know what I'm saying? So they all are intertwined in which we call the neural matrix. All right. Once again, it's called the neural matrix. Let's visit that again. Where did it go? Where did it go? There you go. Neural matrix. In biology, the neural matrix is a network of fibers found throughout the inside of a cell's nucleus after a specific method of chemical extractions. According to some, it is somewhat analog to the cell cytoskeleton. In contrast to cytoskeleton, however, the nuclear matrix has been proposed to be a dynamic structure. Along with nuclear lamina, it's supposed to aid organizing genetic information within the cell through what they call nuclear envelope. And we say nuclear envelope is the membrane, which is made of two lipid bilateral membranes that is in the eukaryotic cell surrounds the nucleus, which encloses the genetic material, which we call our DNA. We call our DNA. You know what I'm saying? So our DNA goes much deeper than what we presume or assume it to be. All right. You know, we're trying to assume immortality based off our understanding of immortality, but it's in an abstract way, where it's better to understand the term immortality in regards to biological immortality, because we know that the cells themselves originated from a source. All right, we know the cells return the information, and the information that the cells contain is the origin of where it originated from. All right. And that's what the ultimate goal is, to return back to the originator, because it's eternal, it's perpetual, it's indefinite. All right. That was the study as they said, that was accomplished through what we say meditation. And meditation is what we call through mental transfer or mental overloading through mental imaging. All right. Through mental imaging. All right. We know mental imaging is nothing more than, we say here, is nothing more than an out of body experience. We talked about this yesterday. OBE. mental image or mental transfer in regard to biological immortality, and biological immortality through mental transfer is the uploading. All right, it's the uploading of information. We know information that we upload, it needs to be deciphered. It needs to be uh, uh, broken down. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be made sense of. You know what I'm saying? And what's the ultimate goal of the information that you're learning, and what intent and purpose of why you're learning the information. And the information is to get you in formation, to get you informed. Informed. How the body experiences the phenomenon which a person perceives the world from a location outside their physical body, and outside their physical body, because their physical body is subject to what we call the matter. And we know this matter exists by way of what we call its genes, its genetics, which allow us to go into this marvelous body. You know what I'm saying? But the marvelous body is limited by its composition. All right? It's limited by its composition. What is its composition? Its biological structure. And we know its biological structure, we can only observe it from a mental perspective. From a mental perspective, he who writes your books sets your timeline. When they deal with the mental transfer, is through digital computers, do what they call a brain scan. A brain scan can fix this this lack of understanding or this misinformation. A brain scan can't do that. It's a mental scan of yourself. And the only way the mental scan is through meditation on yourself, meditation on your true self, or what is the true self. When you understand what the true self, then it can limit its attraction. Because we know that the law of attraction is based off repel and attraction, which is what we call electromagnetism. Whatever you gravitate towards, law of attraction, gravitation. It's called a law of singularity. You know what I'm saying? Space-time singularity. What else is there? Space-time singularity. Singularity. What was the other one? Space-time singularity. I forgot it. I'm not going to go through it anyhow. But anyhow, it says out-of-body experience is a phenomenon which a person perceives the world from a location outside of their physical body. Another form, another type or term used for it is called otoscopy. And otoscopy means to self-watch. To self-watch. All right, otoscopy is the experience when an individual perceives the surrounding environment from a different perspective, from a position outside of their own body. So perceiving yourself outside of your own body means that you can't be looking at it from a view from far as seeing through your eyes. All right, because you can see your body. You can see your body. You look at your hand, feet, etc. But it says view their surroundings outside of their body. To be out of your body means to be not in your body. Once again, to be outside your body is not to be inside your body. That means that you have to be able to see yourself. And to see yourself is not just based off physical, because we know physicality is just not based off the physical. It deals with the it feels physicality deals with the biology of yourself. We know biology deals with the study of the cells that make up the cell. All right. And the cells contain information about the cell. All right. About the cell. Let's get on. All right. In closing, we know that they say uh, uh, cell lineage or cell line gives us ability to be able to biologically become immortal due to the understanding of our makeup, our our biology, our makeup, our physics. You know what I'm saying? We know our physics is not just based off our physical makeup is not just what we perceive ourselves on this plane, but what allow us to be on this plane. And that goes back into, as we say, in the understanding of your cellular lineage. And cellular lineage deals with the understanding of your nuclear DNA. Your nuclear DNA gives you ability to be able to download information as you observe things here on this plane. Because as we see, it means we know that autoscopy or autoscopy means to self-watch. Watch yourself. Look at yourself. And we know that, as I said, meditation is the only proper way to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because meditation is a form of what we call mental uploading or mental transfer. And mental transfer, as they said, is another form of achieving biological immortality, which we all see. And we know meditation, as we say in the religious context, denotes to the teachings that were taught in the Jewish mysticism, which is a function under what we call the Kabbalah. And we know the Kabbalah deals with the teachings of God, God's creation, and you as a part of God's creation. All right. And that falls into what we call cosmogony. Cosmogony. All right. It says cosmology, cosmogony. In astronomy, cosmology refers to the study of the origin of particular astrophysical objects or systems, and the most commonly used in reference to the origin of the universe, the solar system, or the Earth's moon system. The prevalent cosmological models of the Earth's development of the universe and the Big Bang Theory. Sean M. Carroll, who specialized in theoretical cosmology and fields of theory, explains two competing explanations of the origin of singularity, which is the center of space in which the characteristic is limitless. One example is the singularity of black holes, where gravity is the characteristic that becomes limitless, infinite. All right, that's the point we're trying to get to. That's the purpose of us being here. So we know that black holes, what it says, singularity is gravitational singularity, space-time singularity, or just singularity, which goes into what we call general theory, general theory of relativity. All right, general theory of relativity, space-time. In order to understand space-time, you must understand the biology of space-time, i.e., dark matter. And I'll close with this. There we go. Biological dark matter. All right, biological dark matter. Biological dark matter is the informal term for unclassified or poorly understood genetic material. Once again, biological dark matter, because dark matter has a biological makeup as well. You know, dark matter goes into what we call antimatter, which is not matter as equated to matter referring to density. All right, matter referring to density. We know that E equals mc squared means mc equals the matter constant to the speed of light. And we know in order for light to travel, it needs a vacuum. But matter cannot travel through the vacuum because vacuum means absence of body, i.e. absence of matter. All right? So there must be some type of dark matter. So it's a biological dark matter, which is also synonymous with what we call luminous spheres ether. Biological dark matter is an informal term, unclassified or poorly understood genetic material. This genetic material may refer to genetic material produced by unclassified microorganisms. By extension, biological dark matter may also refer to unisolated microorganisms whose existence can only be inferred from the genetic material that they produce. Some of the genetics material may not fall under the three existing domains of life. I.e., you hear that? Domains of life. Bacteria, archaea, and archaea, if that's pronounced right, and eukaryota. All right, we already talked about that. Thus, it has been suggested that a possible fourth domain of life may yet be discovered, although other explanations are also possible. Alternatively, the genetic material may refer to non-coding DNA, so-called junk DNA. All right, so-called junk DNA. This goes into what we call dark ether, a dark matter. Let's prove it. And I'll close on this. Ether element. According to ancient medieval science, ether alternative spelling includes ether, aether, or ether, also known as the fifth element, quintessence, void, or nothing. All right? Let's look up dark matter. Hate to be redundant, everyone, but it's my job. This is in closing. Dark matter, i.e., the biology of dark matter. Dark matter is a hypothetical form of matter thought to be predominantly type of matter in the universe. It is called dark because it does not appear to interact with any electromagnetic field, which means it does not absorb, reflect, or emit electromagnetic radiation, and is therefore difficult to detect. Its existence is implied by various astrophysical observations which cannot be explained by general relativities unless more matter is present that can be seen. Evidence for dark matter comes from many different angles, such as galaxy dynamics and formation, gravitational lens, and cosmic microwaves background, along with astronomical observations, observable universes, current structures, formations of evolution of galaxies, mass locations during galactic collisions, and the motion of galaxies with galaxy clusters. This is called curvature. And standard lambda CDM models of cosmology, the mass energy content of the universe is 5% ordinary matter and 26% dark matter, and 68.2% are form of energy known as dark energy. All right? Dark matter and dark energy. Dark energy is called luminous finishing energy or ether. And I'm going to close on this. All right, I'm going to read two parts of this. Let's make sure you see this. The exact nature of dark energy remains a mystery explained and abound. The main candidates are as cosmological constant, representing a constant energy density filling space homogeneously, a scalar field. Dynamic quantities have energy density that vary in time and space, such as quintessence, or moduli, i.e., ether, dark matter, or what they call the fifth element. A cosmological constant would remain constant across time and space, while scalar fields can vary. Yet other possibilities are interacting dark energy and observable effect of cosmological coupling. See theories of dark energy. The cosmological constant is a constant term that can be added to Einstein's field equation general relativity, or what they call singularity, space-time singularity. What was the other one? Gravitational singularity. If considered as a source term in physical equation, it can be viewed as equivalent to mass of empty space, which conceptually could be either positive or negative, or vacuum energy. And vacuum energy is vacuum energy is the underlying background of energy that exists in space throughout the entire universe. The vacuum energy is a special case of zero-point energy that relates to quantum vacuum. Zero-point energy is symbolic of special theory of relativity. E equals mc squared. Let's qualify it before I close out. This is quantum mechanics. 0-point energy. Theory on ether theories. All right. 0-point energy evolved from historical ideas about vacuum. The Aristotle's vacuum was the empty, i.e., space independent of body. He leads the concept, violated basic principles, and asserted that the elements of fire, earth, air, and water were not made of atoms but were continuous. All right. He also states that late in the 19th century, however, it becomes apparent that the evacuated regions still contain thermal radiation. We talked about radiation today, earlier. We know radiation is a result of what they call DNA damage. All right? Radiation is a result of DNA damage. We know DNA damage is a result of cells not being able to divide. Those cells are what we call genomes that result from mitochondrial DNA. They're different from what we call somatic cells, which have the ability to become immortal because they are biological cells that originate with the information that arises from what we call nuclear envelope of the nuclear DNA. Nuclear DNA is information in regard to the origin of where the original DNA originated from, and that's ether. All right, that's ether. They say here, in closing, that those who maintain the existence of plenty, right here. Yeah. To those who maintain the existence of plenum of the philosophical principle, nature apprehension of a vacuum was sufficient reason for imagining, you hear that? Imagining mental imaging, all right, mental imaging in all surrounding ethers. Ethers were invented for the planets to swim in, to constitute electric atmospheres and magnetic influence, to convey sensations from one part of our bodies to another, and so on, till a space has been filled 3 or 4 times with ether, i.e., manifold. So we must make the transition back home as a result of the light that you have to understand before you can make that transition home through that transmission medium, which is actually an interstellar medium. All right? An interstellar medium. The only medium that we receive here now is through the medium of light, which is what we call uh, uh, light being ultraviolet rays, which we know causes radiation. All right, it hinders us from actually understanding our purpose and intent because we know what we see here on the plane through what we view with our eyes is nothing more than an illusion. You know what I'm saying? So the purpose of actually seeing light is not for the purpose of enjoyment, and 9 times out of 10 is what we do with the physical sight that we see, but it's for learning. And most learning, it deals with the mental. All right, it deals with the mental, and mental is how you graduate up the mental scale on to the higher mental dimensions. All right, through meditation. All right. and do meditation, it doesn't just change your physical self, but it changes your spiritual self. And we say spiritual self, we're saying your biological self. All right, because your biological cells here are actually originated from biological dark matter or dark energy, and from that dark matter, dark energy, you should return. And with that, I say peace. Once again, I hope this wasn't confusing to you all. If it was, please go back and watch the previous videos that I did, because it will all make sense after a while once you research the term. With that, I say peace.